Good morning, respected judges. I'll start off with my topic, subretinal injection of stem cell-derived RP cells, a 6-month safety and integration in a rat model. I have no financial disclosures. So retinitis pigmentosa is a genetic degenerative retinal disorder with no specific definitive cure as of present. Among the various proposed therapies or therapeutic lines in the future, one that is induced the maximum interest is the usage of induced pluripotent stem cells. Herein, a mature cell is taken from a donor, and this cell is exposed to reprogramming Yamanaka factors to create a stem cell out of it. And then this stem cell can be exposed to other differentiating factors and create a mature cell of your choice, which can then be transplanted in the diseased tissue. In our previous work presented at the AIOS last year, we took lab-grown iPS-derived RP cells and injected them in the subcutaneous space of nude mice. Now, nude mice are mice models which do not have an immune system. This is done because these RPS-derived RP cells have a potential to develop teratomas, which can be picked up in a nude mice model. Luckily and safely, we could show that these RP cells well integrated into the subcutaneous tissue and did not show any abnormal proliferation nor induction of teratoma in the nude mice over the observational period of 6 months. Now, on this background, or using this background, we went ahead to assess the safety and integration of subretinal injection of these cells now in an animal model at a 6-month window. This was an ex vivo prospective preclinical animal study using the blind RCS rat model, and this study was conducted in conjunction with the LVPI and the National Center for Laboratory Animal Sciences at the National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad. The study was approved by appropriate institute review boards, and all animal handling was done in accordance with the ARVO statement. Why use a dystrophic RCS rat? This is because these rats carry a natural acquired mutation wherein a slow degeneration occurs of the RP and the photoreceptor cells, and the entire outer nuclear layer and the RP cells in these animals disappear by a 12-week age. Hence, in that time frame, if you inject any cells and then pick them up on histopathology, it would be shown that those are the cells that you have injected and not those of the host tissue. This is the setup that we used at NIN. This is a dissecting microscope, and with the help of a veterinarian surgeon, the animal was anesthetized under ketamine, and this was the operative setup that we used. This is a small video clip showing how we did the subretinal injection in these eyes. So a limbal incision was made with our routine MVR, and it was extended inside to incise the retinal tissue. Herein you can see the MVR is reaching the subretinal space. Now 0.2 million of iPS-derived RP cells on a 28-gauge flat needle on a Hamilton syringe was put in the subretinal space, and a slow injection was done. Herein you will see the entire pigmented mass nicely being demonstrated in the subretinal space. These mice were then kept at the holding facility and were then sacrificed at a 6-month interval. 6 months down the line, we could see these nice patches of pigmentation in the subretinal space, indicating the presence of the retinal pigment epithelial cells. An immunohistochemical evaluation on this photograph shows a very nice track showing the way in which the RP cells go across the retina and enter into the subretinal space. The important part of the evaluation was this immunohistochemical picture, which showed these induced pluripotent stem cell induced RP cells nicely homing onto the Bruch's membrane and spreading out there uniformly. Another important observation was the photoreceptor layer in the corresponding area of the neurosensory retina showed preservation and regeneration. Further immunohistochemical markers showed the PAX6 was positive, indicating that these are RP cells. The H-mito antigen was positive, indicating that these are the cells of the human iPS-derived RP that we had injected in the subretinal space. And the DAPI stain was positive, showing that the nuclei of the injected RP cells were actually alive. In conclusion, live pigmented RP cells survived in the subretinal space beyond 3 months of injection. No tumor formation was noted till 6 months post-injection. The RP injection protected the underlying photoreceptor layer from degeneration. At 6 months, the injected cells also expressed the human-specific mitochondrial and RP-specific markers, showing that they are live and they are viable. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 effect, we could not escalate the experiments and check for the functional assessment, which would be our next step. And once that is done, we would be on course to apply for appropriate clearances for a future human trial. Thank you everyone for your kind attention. I'll be happy to take questions if any.
Yeah, Dr. Vivek, very impressive experiment. I mean, it's great to see a vision scientist like that working. I just have a couple of questions. One is, you said there was regeneration of the photoreceptors that you could make out. You showed that on your slide. But how did you know? Because this was a sacrificed animal. How did you establish that there was repopulation?
Yeah, so all the animals that we used, we injected them in one eye, and the other eye was an internal control. So in these experiments, what was done is at the point of sacrifice, both the eyeballs were excised out. And because at the given timeline, we would have expected the RP and the photoreceptors to degenerate, this was shown in the control eye. And in the corresponding area, when we would see cells in the experimental eye, that would tell us that the photoreceptor layers in that eye is present, whereas it is absent in the control eye.
So it is a presumptive repopulation comparing it to the fellow eye.
Comparing it to the fellow eye, because that would take care of all possible confounders that we could have.
Sure. And what was your success failure ratio, and how many rats did you have to sacrifice?
Yes, I think that's an important question. We had conducted this experiment on 18 eyes. 18. The first 4 eyes we lost. That was a small learning curve where we realized that if we get a hemorrhage in the subretinal space, though the RPE cells may be still present down the line, they actually are non-viable. So it is very important in such situations to be able to inject the RPE cells in the subretinal space without causing any hemorrhage. Hemorrhage was inducing inflammation in the subretinal space, and whatever we were seeing in the hemorrhagic eyes was only pigmentation with ghost cells, and all these cell specific viability markers were negative. So we had success in about 14 eyes, and 4 eyes were lost to hemorrhage. I'm sorry, Dr. Bende, I'm not able to get you.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to know, 6 months is fine, but do you have a population that you're waiting for longer than 6 months, because we are looking for malignant changes? Is there any population where you haven't yet?
Right. The most of the population or most of the studies which have looked for any tumorigenic side effects have looked at their results till 6 months. For functionality, what we would actually require is holding the animals till 1 year, like you have mentioned. That unfortunately, due to the COVID period, we could not handle those, hold up those animals further. So this phase of experiments, you would have to possibly repeat and hold the animals till 1 year to check for functionality. But the tumorigenic effect, most literature is accepting a 6-month time window. That is why we propound our results from a safety point of view at 6 months. Thank you.